Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. We're just 3 days away from the first NFL Sunday of the 2022 regular season. So in today's video, we're going to do some bargain shopping for those of you that like playing weekly DraftKings. I'm going to take a look at one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, and one tight end who are rather inexpensive, who I believe can be excellent choices for week one. Of course, if you want players such as the Devontae Adams, the Jonathan Taylors of the NFL, you're going to need to have some less expensive players on your team as well. So let's get into it. Starting with the week one inexpensive quarterback, let's go with Baker Mayfield at $5,300. Now, Baker Mayfield, the reason I'm choosing him mainly is because he's going against the Cleveland Browns in his first game as a Carolina Panther. Of course, Mayfield was the first overall pick of the Browns in 2018. Played 4 seasons with them before unceremoniously leaving the team, joining the Panthers. I just believe a lot of revenge will be on his mind, and I think Mayfield will have a very solid game. I would say at least 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Yes, it was a down 2021, but the previous season he did have 26 touchdown passes to just 8 interceptions. At running back, $4,800, we have Houston Texans rookie Dameon Pierce out of Florida. He was a 4th-round pick of the Texans in this past April's draft. The team cut Marlon Mack to bring the roster down to 53 players. That made it clear that Pierce was their number one running back. They did bring Mack back, but for the practice squad. But not much else in the Houston Texans running back room. Guys like Rex Burkhead and Royce Freeman. Dameon Pierce, while he never got a full-time lion's share of the carries while at Florida, he did have an excellent senior season, 13 touchdowns and just 100 rush attempts. And as his 4 years of college went on, he became much more involved in the passing game in his junior and senior seasons. So Dameon Pierce against the Indianapolis Colts, I think, could be a good choice. Next, $4,400, we have Mike Davis now of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, J.K. Dobbins, it's looking more and more like he might not play on Sunday, but that is not official yet. If he does not play, Mike Davis will be the number one back for Baltimore. We know Baltimore loves to run the ball, whether it's Lamar Jackson or the team's running backs. Yes, Mike Davis had a disappointing 2021 with the Atlanta Falcons, as we saw Cordarrelle Patterson finally step up. But again, he is very involved in the passing game. He has 103 catches over the last 2 seasons. He did a standout job taking the place of an injured Christian McCaffrey in 2020. And they are playing the Jets. They're one of the biggest favorites in week one. So if they're up, expect them to run the ball a lot and Mike Davis to get the brunt of the carries. Next, let's go with wide receiver, young Joker, Kadarius Toney, the first-round 20th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Me as a Giants fan, fans of fantasy football in general, know Kadarius Toney did have a hard time staying on the field last year, dealt with a multitude of injuries, had 39 catches for 420 yards in 10 games. Did have his share of moments, though, including a Dallas game in Week 5 of last season where he had 10 catches for 189 yards in what was easily his best game of his rookie season. They do have a few options at receiver, but they're not exactly strong ones. Kenny Golladay was a huge disappointment last season. Sterling Shepard coming off a major injury. Wan'Dale Robinson, a second-round pick, but Kadarius Toney is expected to play in week one, and I expect him to see 7, 8, 9 targets in Sunday's game against the Titans. The other wide receiver I'm going with is first-round pick Jahan Dotson, the 16th overall pick by the Commanders in last April's draft. Dotson is not the number one receiver for the Commanders. That, of course, is Terry McLaurin. But after that, Washington does not have many weapons to throw the ball to. Curtis Samuel always has dealt with injuries. Tight end Logan Thomas isn't expected to play, and if he does, he'll be far from 100%. Jahan Dotson's coming off two very productive seasons in his past 2 years at Penn State, averaging nearly 100 yards a game in 21 games as a junior and senior, and had 20 receiving touchdowns in those 21 games. Jacksonville, while they might be an improved team, still probably won't have a standout defense, so Dotson has an opportunity to make some noise. And the tight end I'm going with is $3,400. Irv Smith Jr., second round pick in 2019. He missed all of last season due to injury, but is coming back, should be 100% healthy. His first 2 seasons, fairly productive, but not super productive because they also had Kyle Rudolph on the team. But Kirk Cousins is always like throwing the ball to tight ends, even though he's got Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Rudolph always put up numbers. Even Tyler Conklin last year put up very solid numbers. Now on the New York Jets, this is really Irv Smith's show with the Vikings at tight end. Not much else on the tight end depth chart. So Irv Smith definitely has an opportunity to make noise week 1 against Green Bay. I could expect him to possibly find the end zone in his first week of the season. So there you have it. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 tight end who are fairly inexpensive that I believe can have an excellent week 1 and pay dividends to those in daily fantasy leagues, in whether it's DraftKings. Not sure their FanDuel prices, but I'm sure they're relatively cheap there. So let me know in the comments if you like any of these guys, if any of these guys are on your team. Maybe some other inexpensive guys you may have chosen. Let me know in the comments. But don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.